So, Alexis Patterson, her being missing. She's been missing for how many years now? It's been a very long time. Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. So, who, and I'm a Discovery influencer, by the way. That's indeed a truth. It's fact. What could have happened to Alexis Patterson being missing? See, the further, I said this before, the further you go along pertaining to missing children, when you really delve into the situations of missing children, you often find out that the parents or family members had something to do with it. More than anybody on the outside. You have to be very aware with that, as in knowing the clues, as in who could have did what or why. A lot of these missing persons, when it comes to children, oftentimes the parents have had something to do with them being missing. And that's not to say that Alexis, that's not to say that her mother or her stepfather had something to do with her going missing, but there was someone. I can believe that within the home that had something to do with her disappearance. So, Alexis S. Patterson was reported missing by her mother on Friday, May 3rd, 2002. Alexis was last seen in the area of High Mount School located at 4921 West Garfield Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin at approximately 8 a.m. That's around the time that kids go to school, right? She was reportedly dropped off by her stepfather. That stood out the most to me. Her stepfather, it stood out to me somewhat striking pertaining to a child is missing. A stepfather walks her to school supposedly, and yet she just vanishes in thin air, right? So, details of Alexis, as in her clothing. Alexis was last seen wearing a red hooded jacket with a gray stripe on the sleeves, a purple shirt, light colored blue jeans, and white Nike tennis shoes. Her hair was in two braids pulled back in a ponytail, and she carried a book bag in which was a Barbie, a pink Barbie book bag. If anyone knows anything on her disappearance, please contact FBI, the FBI office location in Milwaukee. You can just call the FBI completely, right? But yes, the office Milwaukee, if you know anything on her disappearance. Let me see right quick. So, questions. It's in question of who could have taken the child, right? If the stepfather had something to do with the child's disappearance, even if the mother had something to do, because oftentimes too, when children go missing, situations like this, sometimes it could be a mother that has something to do with the situation, and say a stepfather covers, right? They make up some story together, whatever, to cover each other's footing on the child's disappearance. There could have been abuse within the home, say on the end of the mother, and the stepfather covered it, or say the stepfather abused the child or was abusive towards the mother and the child, and the mother covered for him, say killing the child or something, striking the child, and then lying and saying that he walked the child to school, right? That's where the question lies right there, right? So kids which attended the school Alexis attended said that they saw Alexis on the playground of the school. Yes, before school and after school. And yet my question to that sort of the details on that, as in the school children saying that they seen the child, they may or may not have seen the child, right? Oftentimes when police are involved searching for children, missing children, and them, the police needing, or authorities needing, or investigation and all the rest, them needing clues, sometimes children have been known to lie, in a sense, to feel important. Everybody wants to feel a part of something bigger than themselves, to feel somewhat important, and that's not to say anything bad on the end of the children that may have lied to authority. Remember, children are gentle, right? They just want to be cooperative, is what I'm trying to say, and helping. And sometimes even children will make up sort of things in front of even law enforcement authority just so that they can feel that they're helping with being cooperative and helping, trying to, yes, find the missing child. There's things that children have been known to do, right? So the kids once again said that they seen Alexis on the playground before school and after school. And yet, once again, to me, that's a very long time for a young child to be on a playground by herself. That's 8 hours. For kids to say they seen Alexis on the playground before school and after school is to say Alexis had to have been on the playground for over 8 hours straight. Most kids who attend school, they usually attend school from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. Most do. And once again, no child of her age, right? Most children of her age is not going to sit on a playground for 8 hours without wandering around. The average young child is curious, as in they want to know about their environment. They're not just going to stay on the playground for 8 hours and just be standing there swinging or sitting around or walking in circles on the playground for 8 hours. That cannot be true. I don't think it's me being specific about that. I can't see that. The average child of her age is in a curious mind state of wanting to wander around and know more about the environment around them, even without them knowing, as in them unknowingly doing that sort of thing, wandering around. It's not like a child saying, well, let me go see what's over there, or let me go. Remember, the environment is full of all type of things in the visual field enough to want to go, well, what's that right there? Let me walk over there. Or that street over there, let me go over there, right? That could have been the situation that may or may not have occurred, and yet so many of us do think and feel that the stepfather of Alexis has something to do with her disappearance, right? The story doesn't add up. So, yeah, children are not going to stand there for 8 hours on no playground. They're going to become restless because not only is 8 hours a long time to just be there, but there's no other children to play with. Boredom will set in, even after about an hour or so. There's kids that they have imagination, they're able to play along. They're able to play along by themselves, and yet most children are not. They'll get bored and say, well, let me move on and find something else that's more stimulating or something, right? So, school kids, going back to what I said, school kids are known to lie, yes, to police when they are involved, because the kids want to feel as if they're a part of something. As investigators, they will tell you that. It is known by even authorities that when a young child goes missing, kids who are questioned on if they know anything on the missing child or if the kid's seen anything, kids will often lie to make authority feel, yes, they're wanting to help, right? You're wanting to help, and so you might in fact say more things that you may have not seen as a child. You want to cooperate, yet you may say, well, we seen this, because usually when children are questioned, depending on who's questioning them, pertaining to investigators, law enforcement, authority, and all the rest, when children are questioned, oftentimes, depending on the situation, the children are asked not by themselves. Not all the time. They're oftentimes asked in a group together, or 2 or 3 kids asked together, right? And that's where oftentimes those kids will answer with the same answer, because we know that even in America, it's all about follow and groupthink, as in, I'm going to say what the next child has already said. I'm not going to stand here and have police questioning them and they say, well, yeah, she was on the playground, and then I switch it up and say something else. No, kids are followers as well, just as much as even adults are, as Let me not change my answer. Let me say, well, yeah, those kids said that she was on the playground, so I'm going to say the same thing. So law enforcement will take that as the answer because the kids, them being in a group, whether they were or not, right? It wasn't really completely stated whether they were interviewed, the children, by authorities individually, right? I can most definitely guess and agree that it would had the children had to be in a group while they were questioned, right? They were more than likely gonna say the same thing that each child has said, right? Those children are gonna repeat what each child has said, right? It's a follow along, go along society we live in. And even many parents teach their children that. But that doesn't help in the investigation. It just doesn't. As in, children need to be taught to be more forward and outspoken, as in sometimes go against groupthink. Because to be a child and be investigated or have investigator questioning, you go along and your parents teaching you to go along with other kids have said is to say, now that's the conclusion of no answers, because your parents haven't taught you to think on your not think on your own, but think individually, right? As an individual, that will help solve more missing children cases too, if young children are involved and everybody else in the group says one thing and then the other child say, well, no, we didn't see her, I didn't see her. That one child stands out and say, no, I didn't see her, I didn't see her. That might in fact make the other children say, well, yeah, I didn't see her, depending on the level of the honesty. When I said how children like to go along, it always takes one child to be an individual and just state the truth, whether authority is there or not, right? Kids are often happy to be involved in helping, is why not all kids will tell the truth to authority. Not all, but most. So Alexis, her details, description, I'm saying, pertaining to body weight, body measurements, and all the rest. Date of birth, April 4th, 1995. Her hair, black. Her height, 3 foot, 3 feet, 8 inches, right? 3 foot. What would I say? Okay, sex, female. Place of birth, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Eyes, brown. Weight, 42 pounds. Her race, black. Yes, many as well as I do feel that the stepfather had something to do with Alexis going missing. And then with that, you have to question what all could have went wrong. What went wrong and why? Because even law enforcement, because see, what's interesting about this is, as soon as I read the fact that she was missing, pertaining to the flyer, missing persons flyer, right? Even before I delved into going more deeper into trying to figure out what could have happened to her, that stepfather stood out the most. I said, well, more than likely, stepfather has something to do with it or something. One of the two, that mother or the stepfather, and both of them are more than likely covering and then getting on camera crying like as if they had nothing to do with it. You can see the playing of the tears and all the rest, that's not real, right? Because you can drive right in on something and them not even know, as in the guilty parties, and yet they haven't been served, right? So law enforcement once again senses that, and even if you look up videos and all the rest, as in search around to see, even right here on YouTube, is to put in her name, Alexis Patterson missing, and you will even see a law enforcement official stated he was a black male, right? He was black like me, right? Came out his mouth and said, no, I feel that that's a lie. I feel that the stepfather had something to do with the child's disappearance. And he also said, how long can you hide that sort of thing? If law enforcement calls something out, everybody else is going to call something out. And yet everybody that has intuition, as in the vibe, feeling, and knowing, as sensing, can feel, well, no, sorry, no, because you were the last one that had the child in your hands, as in you may or may not have walked hand in hand, walking that child to school, and her last being seen at 8 a.m. But remember, you were reportedly. That doesn't mean that the child was actually seen, just as I stated. It was reportedly, just like on the flyer, it says reportedly she was with the stepfather last. So to reportedly say that the child was, that could be some truth in that. It may not. It could have been reported. That's what it means, that she was with the stepfather last, right? She may or may not. May have been with the mother last. The mother may have killed the child, right? And yet, there's something about that law enforcement knows. So the motive, why? Yeah, stick with the why before I close this video out. Why would a stepfather want to harm his stepdaughter? And why would he want her gone at such a young age? Why is that? She was born in 1995, right? She was born in 1995. That's, for her to be missing, that's a long time, right? When it comes to her, 2002, right, is when she went missing. That's a long time. You can say, yes, more than likely the child is dead, right? Even law enforcement sense that sort of thing. And yet, what would be a motive for wanting a child dead way back in 2002 and then not saying why? Or wanting her to disappear and not saying why? As you, a parent, whether stepfather or mother, why would you want that sort of thing? Because I can question, well, sometimes these women get involved with these men and they know that these men oftentimes are highly abusive, right? Even if the mother is abusive, I'm just saying, there's, even in the black community, I should know, right? I grew up in one. It's to say there's oftentimes, not all the time, it depends on the situation, abuse going on within the home, and then the mother, her being so desperate for a man, get with an abusive man that could possibly be a killer, likelihood to take the life of a child, and then she not say nothing. And yet she's still with the man, crying and fibbing on camera, acting like, well, yeah, we don't know where the child is. And yeah, you knew that the man that you involved with could be aggressive and possibly a killer to begin with, as in beating. That's how kids get killed. Tragically, beatings or something like that, right? Something had to have happened, which is, yeah, which is not being told. You can see that, as in I can see it. What could have occurred? That just, yeah, people need to, with that sort of thing, question that. So live now, we're on investigationdiscovery.com. I moved my panel over too far. Live now, ID, investigationdiscovery.com. Live now, Forbidden, Dying for Love. New episodes. I need to remeasure the screen. New episodes. To receive an audio visual preview, but before we get to that, to gain access to this, notice is padlocked down. I'm going to get to the artificial intelligence conversation on another day, because it just seemed like all type of social media platforms is acting up, right? There's all type of stuff that's going on and acting up pertaining to various things. To gain access to this is to provide who you're subscribed to. That's how you would in fact gain access to that. New episodes. Because I'm trying to figure out how all social media platforms be down at times at all the same times. Different days, all same times. That's odd in itself. It's all artificial intelligence. It will all work itself out over time, but even that is to know how things mess up and all the rest, right? Unlocked episodes. To receive an audio visual preview is a click right here, that play button, and you would in fact gain access to that right there. Recommended for you. Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda as well as Paula. ID Go original series. You can scroll through that yourself. This whole virtual, the more we go, it makes life more interesting. It does in itself, right? To receive a newsletter from investigationdiscovery.com is to type your email address in and click next. I'm saying that because even a lot of meetings that pertaining to discovery, right, are indeed virtual, as in they're going to be the work meetings. They're already happening right now. How you have meetings and conferences and all the rest, right? When it comes to discovery, a lot of that is indeed virtual. That's in fact the future. Everything's going virtual. Pertaining to even, everything. The videos and all what I'm doing right now. This is all in fact the future. You're doing meetings over the computer, and even court, with the coronavirus, the situation that happened with that allowed even I was gonna say media, but that too, for it to see the system in itself, work system, all the rest, right, to see how humans were able to handle working at home, because that's even the future with even Zoom. You got court TV and all the rest, where people are now doing court. Yes, they're at home and they're doing court over the computer, and it's like in a virtual manner, like what I'm doing, or say how Zoom is set up. You got 20 people in the courtroom virtually, right? And yet they're all within their homes. All this is in fact the future. That's what is. That just is what it is, right? Not everybody is gonna like that sort of thing. Well, having court from home, that it's a benefit in that. You have to be able to change with the times, is all I'm saying. So let me know what you think, dear viewers, what you feel about this video. Let me know who you think in fact has something to do with the child's disappearance, Alexis, to be specific. Do you think the stepfather has something to do with it, or the mother? I want you to question. Or do you think that someone outside has something to do with that? Because for law enforcement to say what they feel is to go and stick with that. They do the most investigating. So I too stick with that, despite me sensing before even them saying, right? Before I delved into that and I said that, knowing and researching and finding out what they said, I sensed it was a child's stepfather. So may you enjoy your day. I will in fact enjoy mine, and I'm gone.